to the PlanetRoq Podcast, the hottest show in the cosmos. Get ready for insight and inspiration right here on PlanetRoq with your special guest, Shakhea Moore, and your cosmic guide through our ever-changing space and time. I'm your host, Raquel Herring. Hello. Welcome to the PlanetRoq Podcast, the hottest show in the cosmos. I'm Raquel Herring, your cosmic guide on this wild ride called life. Join us every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time for powerful stories and insights that delve into all things relationships and personal growth. Tune in on envision-radio.com and catch our replays on YouTube, premiering every Saturday. Connect with us on social media and at RaquelHerring.com. Let's elevate your life one episode at a time right here on PlanetRoq, where every moment is a step towards your personal victory. This season, give the gift of inspiration and transformation with my book, Falling Up, The Unstoppable Journey of a Tear. It's more than a story. It's a guide to overcoming life's challenges, finding your purpose, and becoming unstoppable, whether for yourself or for someone you care about. Falling Up is the perfect way to spread hope, resilience, and joy this season. Ready to unwrap a journey of personal growth? Well, grab your copy today at RaquelHerring.com and get a signed copy and make this season one to remember. Today, we're diving into an inspiring and powerful conversation with Shakhea Moore, a trailblazing advocate, communication strategist, and proud Florida native. Shakhea's journey takes us from her dream of being a CNN reporter to shaping policies and advocacy work at the local and national levels. She's been honored at the White House, named a rising star by Florida politics, and is now the voice for marginalized communities. Oh, and did I mention she's a mom of three, a Delta, and an avid runner. Yes. So get ready for an electrifying conversation packed with wisdom, empowerment, and yes, some real talk. Welcome, Miss Shakhea Moore. Hello.
Well, hello, Raquel.
How are you?
I am okay. I'm over here cheesing like, who is she talking about? Oh my gosh, she sounds amazing.
She is.
It's kind of hard sometimes to believe that I've accomplished those things, but you know, as Black women, we sometimes have this whole complex, and I'm getting over that, so I'm embracing it. So hello, Raquel. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on. Shakhea and I met on Afro TV Network, and we met during the time of the elections. The show was called Americana. I was the moderator, and she was the Democratic host. Yes. And man, she was going in. Okay, it was hilarious. I knew every day I was going to get something exciting. It was so much fun going there because it was on. And then we had the Republican host, and well, that's a whole nother story.
Yes. A time was had, and you did a great job with moderating the two of us because tensions were high. But, you know, at the end of the day, we were able to have a sensible and amicable conversation. And so, you know, his party won, and he's still talking trash to this day, but it's all in good fun.
That's right. And now Shakhea is on Afro TV's Point of View. That's right. Yep, and you can see that every day on Afro TV, and it's good.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Raquel.
Yeah, she's doing an excellent job there.
Super sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's talk about childhood and education, because that's the beginning of it all. And we want to know about you. So Shakhea, growing up in Apopka, Florida, what sparked your initial interest in broadcast journalism?
Oh, that is a good question. I usually lead with this answer when I'm doing interviews. So it's so cool that you asked this. But I was 6 years old, roughly around 6 or 7 years old. And I remember sitting on my grandmother's marbled tile floor in South Apopka. And I remember her being an avid watcher of WFTV, which is Central Florida's top news station. And I remember seeing a Black woman on the screen. Her name was Vanessa Eccles. And I remember saying to myself, like, I want to do that, what she's doing. And at 6 or 7 years old, I didn't have the language to know exactly what she was doing. But as I grew up, I realized that it was journalism, and she was called a TV reporter. And so I based my education off of what I saw Vanessa doing. And I obtained a full scholarship, athletic and academic scholarship to Bethune-Cookman University, Hell Wildcats, and HBCU in Daytona Beach. And I majored in mass communications with an emphasis in broadcast journalism, with the hopes of one day working for CNN, or going back to Apopka or within Orlando and being like another Vanessa Eccles. But life happened, and I somehow found myself in politics. And so here I am.
Wow, in politics, yes. As a Bethune-Cookman alumna, right? Alumna.
Yeah.
How did your college experience prepare you for the pivots in your career?
Well, attending an HBCU is like none other. I had the privilege also of attending a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution. My freshman year of college, I was recruited on a partial scholarship to the University of New Haven in West Haven, Connecticut. And at the end of my freshman year, I had a successful season, but my coach wanted to give my full scholarship to another student from overseas. So because of that, that is what led me to Bethune-Cookman, where they honored and gave me a full academic and athletic scholarship. So my time at BCU was amazing. Being able to travel with the athletic team, and just being able to walk amongst people who looked like me, teachers who looked like me, who had lived experiences that I could glean from. And one of my professors, actually two of my professors, one passed away, rest her soul, Miss Joan Fuller. She was able to teach us what it would be like in the industry as a Black reporter, and how polished we had to be, and how we had to enunciate our words, and just look the part. And so just being under that leadership and being under other mentors who were already in the field, I was able to learn quite a bit. And so, yeah.
Nice.
HBCU life was amazing. It was just like what you saw on A Different World.
What? Was it?
It was amazing. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
That's
and my campus is small. Bethune-Cookman is a small, tight-knit university. So compared to like a FAMU or another big university, we didn't have all that. Everyone pretty much knew everybody. So it was truly like a family.
Okay. And you are Delta.
I am. I pledged Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated at DeLand Alumni Chapter. My college schedule with volleyball didn't allow me to pledge at school. So I ended up doing it post-school. So I did it at my graduate chapter in DeLand. So for those who have a college education and you want to be a part of a D9, which is a Divine Nine sorority or fraternity, I encourage you to look at your local chapter, and you can still serve.
Okay, nice. And how does that work out? Like being a Delta, like what are all the particulars about it? Like why do it?
That's a good question. Why do it? Some people have ulterior motives of joining an organization. For me, I wanted to be around other like-minded women who were very driven and passionate about serving their community. Yeah, you can do that in any capacity, right? But when you join an organization as old and respected as a D9, you have more of a network of people that transcends just your community. So if I were to go to Georgia or a different state, I could see a soror and there is a commonality there. And so a lot of the hurdles that some people may have to go through, I probably wouldn't necessarily have to do that because I have a connection or sisterhood with someone of the same like mind and agenda as me. So it's beautiful. And outside of Delta, I don't make Delta a god. I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up in the whole sorority and fraternity aspect. There's been a number of people who've denounced my sorority and others alike because of their own personal convictions. I don't have those convictions, but should I ever have those convictions, I wouldn't make it a public declaration of denouncing and exposing, things that took place within my intake process and what holds dear, to the heart of Delta. So I know that was the whole rampant of information, but I love my Delta. It's not a god, but it is an asset to what I already do in the community.
Nice. I get that, being when you're part of an organization, that is like the whole goal of it is to help each other, to stay, in that knit. And when you hear, hey, one of my sisters is around, that's my sister.
Yeah.
And I want to be there to help her. I want to be there to support her and vice versa. So that's the great thing about those organizations,
Yeah.
So nice. So now your transition from journalism to grassroots organizing, how did that happen?
Ooh, chill. Okay. So before politics, I was in higher education. I was working at a trade school within like the Orlando area as an admissions rep. And so as an admissions rep, it's very goal and sales driven. And I just felt like a part of the pitch that I was giving to like those who we were targeting to become a student of our school. I felt like I was a part of the problem in keeping them in bondage as far as like debt wise, because the certificate or the education that we were providing, you didn't necessarily need a degree for that. And so I won't expose what institute that was, but I just felt like I was keeping people who looked like me in bondage and in chains, and then getting them tripped up into being further in debt when they didn't necessarily need to be. So I felt convicted in that aspect. And so that was at the height of 2020. And I was on Indeed. I was on Career Builder, like looking for other jobs that would allow me to help people, but not like suppress them in any way. And I came across a job that dealt with like marginalized communities, Black and Brown communities, and they were looking for a campaign manager. And so I was like, well, I know I can do it. Just give me an interview. I can talk my way through this, you know what I'm saying? And so surely enough, them people gave me a job and I was responsible for like 10 canvassers, and it was at the height of 2020. So now this is an election year where Trump was on the ballot the first time. And so it was an interesting time. COVID then happened a couple months later. So the world was shut down. And in that lockdown, we had to come up with a way of like still doing the work, but just virtually. And so I was able to just, come up with ways. I do believe that it was God ordained in the ways that I was able to provide solutions of how we can still make contact with people, get our message across. And at the wake of that, there were still a lot of like social injustice things happening. And so when you see people protesting in the street, sometimes, well, initially I thought that they were just people who were moved by what happened in that particular community or family members who were enraged. But now being on this side of the spectrum, I see that they're actually paid to do that. Like these are organizers who really were protesting injustice. They weren't just some actors out there just causing a ruckus. Like there are actual organizations who were demonstrating public display of like their distrust for police, brutality, and all of the things. So being on this side of the political spectrum, grassroots wise, it has really opened my eyes to what it means to fight for things that you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that was an actual job prior to like being on this side. So yeah, sorry. I can go on and on and on about that. Yeah, activism is actually a job. It's a career.
Wow.
And I didn't think that was even possible until I actually delved into this. And I've been in it for the last 5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know I was shocked too, because I heard this young lady who's on a TV show, and she was going to school for activism. And I'm thinking, activism, that's a thing? Like, you get a degree in that? But yes, you do.
Yes, you absolutely can.
So what are some of the biggest lessons you learned as a campaign manager and communications director in Florida politics?
Being able to merge the two has been interesting. One, because communications and having the ability to like bridge and make relationships has always come natural for me. The part that I've really had to focus on is learning like the language of policy, and how to relay that to people who look like me. Because if we're honest, a lot of Black and brown folks ignore politics because it's such high jargon and it's so rapid. So it's rapid and it's way above their head. So if anybody comes across that, they're just going to tune it out. So what my passion has been is been able to like dumb it down, dumb the policy down, and then bring in my expertise of communications so that it's palatable for people to understand. So when they go into the booth on election day or prior to election day, they'll have a knowledge of like, oh, okay, this is what that means. Or this bill says this, and this is how it'll impact me and my family should I vote a certain way. So it's been interesting because as we've seen within this last election, Florida is red. Yeah, it's not even like purple. At first, I thought it was purple.
Yeah,
I thought that, you know, some of the communities and counties around the state would be a little blue. There's like 4 counties within the state within this last election who were blue.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's pretty disturbing. So
yeah.
Now I've had to switch gears in not just speaking the language of people who vote the way that I do, but in order to like really create change, I have to learn the language of those who are currently in power. And how do I bridge the gap so that we can all thrive under this interesting administration?
Yeah, the language is different. Tell us how is it different, and how can, like in politics, like the campaign managers and people like your side, especially like on the Democrat side, how can they better inform and teach people the language and the way, you know, different bills are written? How can we get it out more so people are able to understand when the time comes back around again and have better understanding and what to do when you get in that booth?
I think that's a fair question, especially given how horribly we lost in this election. And in addition to us losing, I do think that a lot of the votes were rigged, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get into that probably another day, another time. And so I think it starts now, to answer your question. Education of certain bills and the process of government and policy starts now, because we'll be having another election in 2 years. And honestly, in certain counties, they'll be doing like an actual election in a few months in March. And so government never stops. And so since it doesn't stop, I don't think education should stop. It should be year round. So a lot of the things that most people that I've heard on the ground, they say that, you know, Democrats only come around every 4 years, or there's a push, you know, for politics and stuff every 2 to 4 years, when that is actually true. A lot of the funding comes around election cycle time. So like every 2 years, every 4 years, because the next election, big election, will be in 26. And that's for the gubernatorial race. So we'll be electing our next governor, right? And so you'll see a lot of donors pour money at the top of, well, actually probably in the middle of 25, leading up to 26. And so because of that, we need to start now on identifying who that person would be as like a Democratic candidate. And if we don't identify that, we just need to at least inform people of like, hey, there's an election coming up, and this is what's going to be on the ballot, and this is what that means, and having town halls or doing door knocking. But a lot of people don't want to do the legwork of door knocking because, one, safety is a thing.
Right.
Safety is a real thing, so you got to identify that. But then if you call or if you text people, they'll send you as spam. So we just got to get real creative on how to get this message out without being overbearing for a lot of people. It was really overwhelming this past election cycle, getting all the text messages, all of the phone calls. And it's like, how did you get my number?
Right.
If you're a registered voter, you're in the system. And so you have organizations who are able to pull that information and send you text messages and things like that. That was a long answer, Raquel. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, thank you. Because I mean, you know, I'm sure listeners want to know, like, we want to know, like, how deep does this go? You know, I would love to just spend time for the ins and outs, you know, because I think it's politics has just become so, it's like, it's like the job that many people want because of seems like the financial benefits on the other side. It has become, it seems like, more about like helping yourself than really helping the people. And from the way I've grown to look at it, it's about helping people. And I think, you know, you get, you know, a little bit from each side, but I think we really want to know, how is all this really working? You know, even like getting a bill to the floor. I mean, that's an extremely long and tedious process. But then some of them seem like it just get there in no time. But I think those are things that, you know, another day. But, you know, the things that I think people, I know I want to know about. You know, I learned it in school, but, you know, those things, you're going through different things in school. You know, all of this can't stay in your head. But for someone who's in it, like you would like kind of know, well, you would know how that really works, because people need to understand it, because after this last cycle, I'm really realizing there really isn't much understanding about how this is really working, because we look at someone who's there already in office, we're like, oh, they can't get anything done, blah, blah, blah. But we forget there's a Senate. We forget that there's a House of Representatives. We just put the focus on one person, and there's more people involved.
Correct.
And a lot of times we're not considering that. So,
I would love to break that down in another episode, because there's a lot of nuances to your point that a lot of folks don't understand. And I think our education system is really doing our students a disservice of not really teaching civics in the manner that it should be taught. Or it's not being taught at all.
Right.
So that's a whole nother episode too, the state of education in our country, and in particular in Florida.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I'm glad you'll come back and talk about it.
Oh God, oh Lord.
I've already put you out there. She's coming back, y'all. She's gonna talk about it. Y'all heard her. So,
oh Lord.
So for anyone listening who's facing a career pivot or feeling stuck, what advice would you give them?
Oh God, Raquel. That's good. You're doing your due diligence. Okay, Raquel, I see you. Let's see. For me, communications is the basis of any job that you get, right? Being able to build and sustain relationships is another thing. So if your background is not in communications, or if you're like, girl, I'm an introvert, I hate people, I just really want to just be to myself, then build on the skill set that you have. If you are good with typing, and you've been in tech for such, you know, an X amount of years, and you want to move over into healthcare, find 2 or 3 skill sets that align with that industry and base your resume off of that. That's simply what I did when I was in education for a bit and like in the whole workforce stuff. I tailored my resume, not necessarily verbatim to what the job description said, but I knew in my heart, okay, Kia, you're good with building relationships. Let me see. Oh, great. And that was a part of the job description. So I just expounded off of my experience in my resume. And then in the interview, I sold myself. And so here we are today, 5 years later.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that for myself. Yes. Tell us about your invitation to the White House during the Black History Month celebration. What was it like? What was that experience?
It was Black excellence at its finest.
Wow.
That was during the time that I was a regional director for one of the largest nonprofit social justice organizations in Florida. And so my work and advocacy got the attention of now Congressman Maxwell Frost, and who was actually the youngest congressman, in our country. And being that he is currently my congressman because I live in his district, he was able to see the work that I was doing within the county. And he awarded my efforts with an invitation to join him at the White House. And it was awesome to be able to see VP Harris in action, to be able to see President Joe Biden actually speak. He is an elderly man. Yeah, we all know that. But it was such a sweetness to him when I was able to see him in person. And he's well respected, well loved, despite what the media portrays or what social media says about him. And so being able to rub shoulders and see folks who I usually see on TV or I followed their work for years, to be able to have a drink with them and talk with them like, oh my God, I've seen you on such and such. That was amazing.
Wow. I bet.
Never forget it.
The world of politics, the celebrities of politics.
Yeah, it was something. So
Nice.
I look forward to seeing how this continues.
Yes. You've been named a rising star by Florida Politics and have served as a media surrogate for the Harris for president. How important is representation in politics and media?
I think representation across the board is extremely important. Politics in particular has taken a different course that it has been over the last decade or so.
Yeah.
Right. I think once we saw President Barack Obama enter into office in 2008, having representation at the highest seat of the land, I think it really did something for people of color to be like, yo, we have our first Black president. Like, if he's in the seat, like, I can do pretty much anything. I think we've always said that to ourselves, like, we can do anything, we can become anything. But to actually see him break that glass ceiling for us, it has trickled down. And it's been on the rise. And so when I entered into politics 5 years ago, I didn't think that I would be here. I just knew I had a passion for helping people who looked like me. And I was just trying to figure out ways to bridge communications with grassroots advocacy. I didn't think, I would be offered to go to the White House. I didn't think I would be named as a rising star in politics. And even to hear you say that, it's just like, girl, what are you talking about? And so I'm still grappling with the idea that I am in this space and that God has given me the ability to bridge gaps and make relationships and introduce ideas to people who actually run this state and run this country. So representation is very important at the smallest level outside of politics. Like, we need representation in education. A lot of students don't see Black male teachers. Like, that is a problem, right? And so what would that do for the next generation of educators who are coming up in our system? They don't see themselves. So do they think that they can't become a teacher if they're a Black student, a Black boy, like in fifth grade? So It's a lot of nuances to it, but representation matters on every level.
Yeah. And I think that's so necessary, especially here living in Florida.
Yeah.
It's seems to be like so one dimensional.
Yeah.
And that really needs to change.
Yeah. We have a super majority running our state, which is the GOP. So Republicans run the entire state of Florida, in both the House and in the Senate. So there's a lot of bills that pass easily because our governor is also a Republican. So anything that he wants done, he has the power to wield it in both chambers. So it's interesting. Yeah. We'll talk about that.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I said, we'll talk about that another day.
Yes, please. What are some of the challenges you faced advocating for marginalized communities, and how have you been able to overcome those challenges?
One of the challenges was when I was really hardcore advocating for housing justice for Black and brown marginalized communities really was exacerbated in 2020 at the height of COVID. And so you had a lot of landlords who were taking advantage of a lot of their tenants by raising rent prices 30 to 50 to almost like 60% without notice. And so you had a lot of slumlords who were really getting over on people. And during COVID, there was a large number of folks who were evicted. So families were put on the streets. Folks with disabilities weren't able to pay, their rent because they're on a fixed income. So there were a lot of disparities that a lot of Black and brown communities saw in COVID. And so one of the campaigns when I was regional director that I was really passionate about was making sure that landlords didn't take advantage of people during that time. And so because of the advocacy work that I was doing along with my team, we were able to get rent capped at a certain rate within Orange County. And so we made history in doing that because the local county commissioners voted on it. But then we had our lovely governor who actually passed a bill that canceled that entire process that we had just celebrated and were really amped and pumped about. So, the fight continues. That's all I got on that. The fight continues. So housing is still an issue for a lot of people. We see a lot of homeless or unhoused families today, and it's 2024. So we're still post-pandemic, we're still feeling the effects of that. And God forbid, once Donald Trump takes office in January, I don't know what that would look like for a lot of folks who look like you and I. Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a time that seems different than any other time I know that we have seen, or I'm not even quite sure if our parents have seen it yet. So it's going to be interesting.
It will.
Yeah. So, and now you're not just a powerhouse advocate. Okay. You're also a TV host, an avid runner, a devoted mom of 3. How do you balance all of it?
Drinking coffee. Oh, Lord. Honestly, Raquel, I am still trying to figure out how I do balance all of this.
Wow.
Being a TV host has been amazing. As a working mom, I bring my kids sometimes to the studio. Like I have their laptops, I have their lunches and snacks packed, and I'm like, y'all better be quiet in here. Mommy is working, And so on the days that I have them with a babysitter, I come home and they're like, Mommy, where were you? Were you at the TV station? So they're starting to understand like Mommy is away because she's working. And so I have a phenomenal village who helps me balance all of these things. And so I am on a strict schedule. So when the kids get up for school, feed them, dress them, get them out the door. Once they're at school, I go for my run. I come back home. I fix my breakfast. I'm then like in my emails, responding to things, doing meetings. And then, my day goes from there. So I am on like a tight schedule. And then on the weekends, I spend time with the kiddos on the week that they're with me. And then I try and have some downtime with some girlfriends where we go out for drinks, or I'll take myself to a play. And I just pour into me.
Good for
and then
you.
It starts back over again on Monday. Yeah.
Wow, that's some nice self-care.
Yeah, I had to learn that. I didn't always do that. And so in this season, I was asking God to give me more, and he has given me more. So I want to be a great steward of what he's given me. So in order to do that, I have to be disciplined in my time.
Yeah. And right now you're doing the single parent, but you're not by yourself.
Co-parenting.
Yes, co-parenting.
Yep. So recently divorced, but my kid's father, he is amazing. He is Superman to them. And so shout outs to him for being dad of the century. Yes. And I do that intentionally because a lot of divorces have this connotation that, it ends horribly, or there's a lot of drama, or y'all don't like each other. Like, I'll always love this man. Like, he's the father of my kids, right? And I don't want them growing up thinking that they have to choose sides between me and their dad. He's still your daddy.
That's right. That's right.
You're still going to spend time with him.
Yeah.
But I definitely give him his flowers every time I see him. Like, yo, you are really a dope dad. Like, thank you for being an awesome co-parent. We ain't got to have no drama.
Right.
Like, it can be cohesive. And so, yeah, shout out to that man.
Love that. Oh my gosh. How many people need to hear that, we were together, it didn't work out, but we can still be cool with each other, and I can still praise you and give you your props. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. As a Black man, I think we need to uplift that more because the media says otherwise, Yeah. So I give him his flowers every time.
Yeah. Well, your kids are so well behaved. I mean, you bring them to the set, like you said, they're quiet. They stay with their own business.
Yes.
Yes, they are very well and so polite. I
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
And your little girl, she is just such a doll.
Listen,
just such a doll.
She is such a diva. Yes, she is a doll. I oftentimes look at her like, are you my daughter? Because you don't look like me. You look like your daddy. Like,
yes.
Did I do anything? But thank you, Raquel. I appreciate it.
Yes. How does your faith and involvement in your local church, how has it shaped your outlook and resilience?
I absolutely love my church. I attend Deeper Fellowship with Pastor William McDowell, who's a world-renowned gospel singer and worship leader. And so the anointing that you feel on the records that you hear, that sounds so old, but like on the songs that you hear from him, like it is truly tangible every week that I'm in that sanctuary. And so within this last year of all the transitions that I've endured, my faith has truly carried me through. And I'm not just saying that to sound cliche. There were some really dark moments within this past year, some very trying times where I'm just like, God, are you even here? Yeah. And it wasn't the faith of my mom or the faith of my grandma, like I had to really figure out, like, God, you knew that I would be here. So this didn't catch you by surprise. So like, what's your plan? Like, what's up, man? So I talk to God like how I'm talking to you. Like, what's up, G? Like, what we doing? So
what we doing?
What we doing? But he's never failed me. He's never failed me. And that's a whole nother podcast in itself. So yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for answering it. What message would you give to moms and women leaders who are trying to find their voice and make a difference?
So I guess I would give this advice as I am still learning to find my voice as well. Oftentimes women and moms have this imposter syndrome because we devoted our lives to our children and making sure their needs are met and making sure that they have what they need while we oftentimes neglect ourselves. So this past year, I have been reestablishing who I am, like outside of being a mom and outside of being a wife. Like, who is Shakhea? What do I like doing. And so that's where at the beginning of the show, self-care that I was talking about, like I take myself out. If I don't have girlfriends to go out with, I'll go by myself. Like I'm the Black woman that you see sitting at the bar having a drink by herself. And you're probably thinking like, oh my gosh, she's here by herself. Girl, yes, join me.
Yeah.
Can I offer you some hors d'oeuvres or something? So like I am learning to love on Kia because when these kids get older, I'm going to be here, Yeah. And so I'm just trying to reestablish who I am. And I don't have a formula for what that looks like, like change your friend group, do something that, makes your heart palpitate. I'm afraid of heights. Okay, I'll just say that. Okay. And so I am doing things slowly that will break me out of being afraid of heights. So yeah, it's just little small things. And so eventually those small things will lead to something bigger. And that bigger will become the manifestation of who you're wanting to be.
Yeah. I like that. That self-care. Again, I have to love me.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
So we talked about Delta earlier, being a Delta. Has the sisterhood played a role in your advocacy and career?
Oh, absolutely. Social action is one of the pillars of Delta Sigma Theta. Our founders were a part of the Women's March. And so that was one of like the first displays of advocacy and ensuring that women had equal rights, that our Black voices were at the table. And so representation from that aspect has carried throughout our entire legacy that we've been an organization. And so my sisterhood, we don't play about social action, right? So if you walk into like a county building or at the state legislature, you're going to find a Delta and you'll be able to identify like, oh, she is a woman of distinction. Like she ain't playing no games. And so that is extremely important for us. And so because of that, we have every level of government, there is a woman of Delta Sigma Theta in place. So, wow. Yeah, that's really dope.
B. Harris is a Delta, yes?
No, she is actually a part of Alpha Kappa Alpha. It's all right. It's all right. Yep. She is pink and green. I am crimson and cream. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So tell us, we're going to just like talk about just like fun stuff. Okay. Favorite running playlist?
Oh, God.
What songs do you have on that?
Oh, Raquel, you may really judge me on this, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. Just know that it is hip hop.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Tupac.
A little Tupac. Okay. A little Glorilla. Okay. It's a range because it depends on how far my run is. It depends on the playlist, and so if I'm just doing a 1 to 2 miles, it may be, something a little more mild. It just fluctuates.
Okay. Glorilla. Okay. I was on the set the other day.
Yes.
And that's Afro TV Point of View.
Yes.
On Tuesdays, that's when I'm on there. And with you. And 2 other ladies. Yeah. And y'all brought up Glorilla. Who is Glorilla?
Her name is Gloria.
Okay.
Hallelujah. No, seriously, her name is Gloria. I'm not even joking. Like that is her full government name. And so she goes by Glorilla.
Okay.
You're so Raquel. So yeah, we gotta really break this down.
Okay.
So she is out of Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
Young, beautiful girl.
Okay.
And she has really taken off in like the rap and the hip hop industry within like, I want to say the last 2 years. Okay. And so she has this song that goes like, it's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees. I ain't got no man and no man ain't got me. So we'll just, Raquel, we'll just have to break that down off camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's a phenomenal rapper. She may not be your taste, but she gets the girls going.
Okay. Well, now I know. Okay. I get it. I have my playlist too. Who I have on there? I have Twista.
Okay.
That's old. But I just love that he just raps so fast.
Real fast.
Ludacris.
Okay.
DJ Khaled.
Okay.
And who else I got on there? Some singers I got on there. I can't remember. Mario, I think it is.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a few. I listen to stuff too.
Okay.
That's right. I'm in it too. I mean, I just gotta have it. That's how I can, stay in the exercise. Because otherwise, I'm be like, forget it. I don't want to do this.
For real.
Yeah,
it's a real thing. I understand.
Yeah. Who's the most inspiring figure in your life?
I would say my mom. Mm-hmm. My mom is so dope. I think I mentioned this to you on the show before, but she was 19 when she had me. Yep. She just recently finished up her AA degree, and she'll be celebrating her 56th birthday next week. She just won the Senior Olympics for her age group. And so she'll be going to nationals in the summer. Like, the girl is doing a lot of things. And I'm like, is this what I have to attain when I become mid 50s? What are you doing?
Yes.
She's
setting the bar high, huh?
The bar is super high, but she's my girl. She's done a lot. And she's reclaiming her time as well.
Amen.
So we're breaking barriers together and, doing away with childhood trauma that could have defined, her latter years, but she is reclaiming that. So I'm so proud of her.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Dream destination for a family vacation.
When you say family, that means I got to bring the kids too, right?
Yeah, you will. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, single and family.
Okay. So we've taken them to the mountains before, so that doesn't count. I would like to do a Disney cruise with them.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. They love the whole Mickey Mouse thing. We watch all the Mickey Mouse Christmas holiday movies. It's on nonstop. So that would be really dope for them to experience. Mm-hmm. But for mama, because mama got to get her groove back, like Stella. Right. We could do Tulum. Tulum, Mexico. So if I want to do something like tropical, I would say Tulum.
Okay, I haven't heard of this Loom.
Tulum.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And if I wanted to do something like on land, it would be in Arizona. There's this serene desert.
Like Sedona?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I want to go there so bad.
Does sound really nice.
Yes. I really would love to experience that. But I think they want half of my pension and part of my kidney and liver to go. And I ain't got that type of form right now. So we just going to keep hope alive.
Right. Just hope on that one. Okay. One word to describe your journey so far.
Man. One word to describe this journey. I would say resilient.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. A lot of resiliency has gone into this.
Yes.
A lot of no's were given too. I received a lot of no's, and in those no's, I've just readjusted and became resilient.
Glory.
Yeah. And here I am, a business owner, entrepreneur. This thing is scary, but it's a part of my calling.
Amen. Oh, that's so wonderful. It is scary.
Yeah.
But you answered the call and you I'm doing it. I'm all in.
Daily bread.
Yes.
Day by day.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's next for you? Any exciting projects or goals you'd like to share?
What's next? So I'm still a TV host. Aspirations are still high and set on CNN. I don't know how God is going to do it, but for whatever reason, that vision is still within me. But in the meantime, I am just really honing in on getting my business to become more of a household name. I'm taking it serious. I've sat on this for a very long time. And so I am now the founder of Right Away Strategic Communications and PR, where I provide crisis management and media training. And and it's not just involving like the political industry, like this is for any business owner. And so, I provide those types of services in addition to being a TV host. And I don't know what else is next, but I'm just going to steward with what he's given me, and we'll see.
Amen. Yeah. Well, you're definitely an effective communicator.
Well, and thank you.
That's important. You know, I love it that you're quick with your questions. You're quick to respond. And it's always relative. You know, it's not like going someplace else. It's always just right on point. And I love it.
I appreciate that, Raquel. I really mean that. Thank you. It's a gift. I really don't know how sometimes I'm able to do that, but God's grace is sufficient.
Yes. How can listeners stay connected with you and your work?
Yeah. So I am doing a whole rebrand and relaunch of Right Away Strategic Communications and PR. But in the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram at Shakhea. So SHAKHEA.M. Shakhea.m.
Okay.
And that's where I am. And so, and you can follow me on Afro TV Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 8 p.m. If you have Xfinity, it's on channel 1623. If not, you can find us on social media and it'll be broadcasted live, 7:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. Yeah, catch me there on Tuesdays.
Yes, please, because Raquel be bringing it. I cannot with you.
I've been talking so much mess. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get in trouble on here. I just been talking some mess.
No, but we need it. We need it. It's point of view. So all four of us bring a different perspective. So you are definitely needed and enjoyed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I so appreciate having you and hearing your story. Just incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to spend more time with you, have more time and talk again.
Same here. You're doing a great job with your podcast and all of your other endeavors. Your book, I will be purchasing it very soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the title of it. It's very fitting. I'm a visual person, so I actually see a tear like going upward, like going back into like the tear duct. So
glory to God.
Yeah, so it's really amazing. So super, super proud of you and the work that you're doing. And I see you, Raquel. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
To our listeners, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the PlanetRoq Podcast for more empowering conversations. Follow Shakhea Moore on her journey and stay inspired. And don't forget, new episodes drop every Thursday on envision-radio.com and Saturdays on YouTube. See y'all next week. Stay blessed.
What an awesome show full of insight and inspiration. Thank you to our guests and listeners. Look forward to hearing us next week on envision-radio.com at 12 noon, right here on PlanetRoq.